Good morning, good evening, good afternoon for everyone. Welcome to our usually weekly AMA. 50 people today, so we actually have a big crowd today. So welcome everyone and thank you for your time. I will do my usual intro. This week there's no raffles, so as we finish talking, that's it. No more AMA. On my end, small updates. As you saw, the vlog is out. I was absolutely surprised by the amount that has been bet this week. It was 12 million, over 12 million MK have been wagered this week. So
That's
proving
crazy.
once again you're a bunch of degens. Yeah, I mean, nothing new there. I already knew that you guys spend all the time doing. We have for the more distracted ones, because I know I've probably only pinged you like 10 times about it already. We do have Azili running. Seems to be going well. There is one new style, which is choose your favorite fighter for the sprint, and then Lady Luck decides how you get those points. There will be other events coming up in next weeks until the end of the sprint. And because this is the big return of the season 2 or restart of the season 2, we do have 10 winners this time with very big prizes. In total, there's more than 10,000 MK up for grabs. So if you haven't started yet, now it's a good time. And that's pretty much it from my side. I'm going to let Matt talk, because you guys already heard me enough last week, and I'm pretty sure they all missed you, Matt. They kept asking me if you had been eaten by any bears while you were camping or not. I might have made a kumbaya joke at some point, but there's no proofs.
Yeah, I mean, appreciate you holding down the fort, Hermes, while I was spending time with family. Much needed downtime. I think it's kind of important for everybody to get that every once in a while. So if you haven't gotten that for yourself so far this year, I encourage you to do that. But yeah, I mean that's crazy figures in terms of like how much playtime people had on MK. That's just absolutely crazy. That's a lot of MK, and I think obviously there's been people that have done some wagering and won, and then have liquidated those wins, which is all part of the fun in games. Results in a little bit of a decreased price action for MK. I think also a big part of that is the fact that the market, specifically on the Ethereum mainnet, is still very much down. I mean, I'm looking at it right now, and the GUI it's 1.05 at the moment, which basically means that there's no activity on the Ethereum mainnet right now. So I think that obviously has a lot to do with the current price of MK, but the platform is still running stable, and we have been working even while I was gone. The team has been working on implementing some additional components for season 2, which I'm anticipating will be released. If not later on this week, probably next week. So I'm not quite sure on the specific date, but I'm assuming that basically what's going to happen is that we're just going to test it first on our end, do some thorough testing before we push it out to production, push it out to where you guys can all see it. But then once we do have those updates, they'll just go live, and then we'll make a notification to everybody. But I'm kind of excited. It's going to change up a little bit of the gameplay, refine some things, but also make it a little bit more lively and interesting. So excited about that. My voice is a little off today, so apologize for that as well. It's kind of a little bit on the raspy side, but hopefully gargle some water here pretty soon and get rid of that. But
you know what that means, Matt, right? That means short answers. Short answers, okay?
Yeah,
It's for your own health.
I think that we're all pretty much aware that I'm completely incapable of that. So, but I'm assuming that we probably have some questions, Hermes. Mostly are going to be centered around probably marketing. So marketing has begun. I think that Hermes, you might have shared some of it. Other aspects of marketing is in the form of banner ads. I don't know if you guys have seen any sort of banner ads with some of the websites or areas of the internet that you visit, but you'll start to see those popping up as well. It's a ramping up effect, so we definitely want to tie it to our ability to make conversions. Right now, obviously, the market sucks, so we're just kind of like shouting into an empty crowd. But but marketing is going to be there. It'll be persistent, and then as the market picks up, we will look to seize on opportunities where there's traffic and volume. The tool that we use, or the firm that we're using, definitely does daily aggregations of volume and traffic, and then also conversions meaning people that have seen the advertisement, clicked on it, and then followed their way to our website or to one of the screeners to check on the token's valuation, performance, things like that. Right now, across the board, not just with Meme Kombat, but with basically every project out there, the conversion rate is incredibly low. And as you can tell, the market is very quiet, very dead. GWEI right now is less than 1, which is unheard of, right? So, it's hard to have an expectation of a flood of new buyers coming in when there's simply nobody out there transacting on Ethereum mainnet. So, generally speaking, my logic, my feelings on the ups and the downs in the crypto market specifically is, when the market is down, you focus on building. When the market is up, you focus on marketing. And that's just kind of what we're doing. So, but I am just still kind of getting back in the swing of things after having been out for about 7 days. Yeah, catching up on messages, catching up on getting back to some people. I've gotten some a high volume of messages, DMs, that I'm still kind of sifting through, and conversations that I'm wrapping up. So I'll pause there and wait for some of the inevitable questions, I think.
Yeah, I'll probably pick up already on the marketing one, because there's already a couple of them popping up that I've seen already on the VC questions when I was reading them now. But yeah, I was surprised yesterday, 2 days ago. My days are kind of getting blurred together. When I was setting some of the prices, and the GWEI was 0.7. I didn't even know that was possible. So it's interesting times. Okay, so there is one question from. Actually, before I say that, last week during the AMA, there was a couple of questions I couldn't answer. I did tell the guys that I was going to send it to you, but then in the meantime, as you know, your connection was pretty much dead in the water. We were literally sending messages to each other with days apart. So obviously we decided, okay, we'll do this on the next AMA. So one of the questions that came up was in terms of budgeting for the marketing, if it is a number that is possible to divulge, or if we prefer to keep it inside. And the other question that also popped now that I saw was, is the company that we're using right now for the marketing, if it's the same one that we used for the pre-sale?
So with respect to the first part of that question, since it's kind of like a 2-part question, and I've touched base on this in multiple AMAs before, and my position on it is much the same. It really boils down to return on investment. It's not just so black and white, whereas like we're going to spend 100,000 USD on marketing. If we spend 100,000 USD on marketing, I want to be able to see and be able to quantify a return on that investment. Otherwise, it simply doesn't make sense, right? So we could easily spend $500,000 on marketing today and see relatively zero in terms of a return on investment. We could spend a fraction of that in a mini bull market, or in a market where things are on an upswing, and see a factor of 10x return on investment. It's all situational. So the answer to that question is not black and white. In terms of budget, if there is the opportunity to with a reasonable amount of probability to see a return of investment, both from the project side as well as from an investor side, we'll spend it. But we're not just going to blindly start tossing money down holes in a YOLO attempt to see a fractional increase in token price. So hopefully that's sufficient enough answer on that. Now, in terms of the second part of the question, it's a yes and no. So in part, yes, we're not kind of all eggs in one basket approach with marketing. There's certain connections that we have that can excel really well on certain marketing fronts with respect to like PRs and articles and getting inserted at high level publications, and then there's other resources at our disposal that we can use to leverage, like banner ads and click through style marketing campaigns. And largely I've kind of been putting this to other members of the team. So in terms of like the actual specifics on that, I would have to go back and look for some sort of maybe it's like a summarization or a TLDR or something that I could then mention to you guys, perhaps maybe during the next AMA. But yeah, so the answer is yes and no for the second one.
Yeah, I mean, add to what Matt said, we have started a couple of small things which aren't so visible, but to increase numbers. Like one of the examples is the Zealy that I was talking about. We have upgraded to the paid plan. So we were using the free one, which is available to everyone. And the paid plan, one of the things it does is it does get promoted by Zealy in a certain way. And you guys probably noticed. I mean, we went from roughly 100 participants every Zealy to 250, to the point that I actually had to increase the amount of quests, because on the first 2 days we went over the limit of the 5,000 quests that we could redeem. So something worked there. I can tell you by the fact that the first few days I was going to bed at 3 in the morning. Okay, so question still about the exploit. First of all, thank you for complimenting me on my AMA. That was a very nice way of starting your question. Have the team already made a decision how they will eventually repair the price damage from the exploit that happened on the first launch of season 2?
I mean, to be completely fair, I don't think that the current price reflection is in whole attributed to that event. When we went through and we've kind of like triaged that season 2 launch, that short window of time where season 2 had launched and then it was taken down, there was obviously some damage with respect to the token price, but largely since then, I think that the depreciation in the MK token has been mostly just due to market factors. Obviously, with season 2 now been up and running for a number of weeks, there's been some people, like I mentioned at the beginning of this call, that have won and that have liquidated those winnings, which obviously drives the token price down. But Ethereum is also down, which is what our liquidity is tied to. So when the value of Ethereum goes down, the value of the token goes down. And so I think it's just a multitude of factors. The good news is that when any one of those factors begins to change or shifts and begins on an upward trend, then the token will see the benefit of that as well. So I still think that MK token is an immense store of value. I believe in it, and I know that there are a lot of people on this call that believe in it as well. I see the price right now as an insane value. And I think that others will as well, especially as we begin to market and do additional PRs and get the project in front of other people's eyes. I think that they're going to see the potential and the value store for this project, currently as well as into the future. So
Okay, and since we have already 2 people waiting, I shall call the first one, and the first one will be Alain. Alain was
Hello,
fastest today.
guys. Can you listen to me?
Loud and clear, Alain. How are you today?
I'm very well, very well. And you and Matt, everybody okay?
All
doing
good.
well. I mean, my voice is a little raspy, but I'm hanging in there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no trouble. Friends, the question is because I got maybe a little confused. I don't know exactly. Uh, Matt said the marketing has begun. I know that market is down, so we shouldn't see a lot of results now. But the real question, the direct question is it already live? Really? Like, can we see a banner or can we see an article is it live really? And where can we see it? And the second part of the question is whether Hermes can provide, I don't know, or a print screen. I'm sorry, it's a screenshot name or a link to a published article or something like that. This is the question, like very directly.
Yeah, so we have it's like a dual approach, right? So I believe what oh are you still talking? Sorry.
No, sorry.
Oh, I believe what Hermes had shared, and Hermes, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that you had shared kind of like a screenshot of one particular style of marketing, which is where Meme Combat is kind of like infused in with additional projects, like hey, like these are the top 10 projects to look at. Like that kind of style of publication. We do have some dedicated, which is marketing that refers specifically only to Meme Combat. It's like the only project mentioned in that publication when it gets sent out to circulation. Those types of marketing efforts have a far more difficult time with conversion, especially in a down market. But we are going to be testing that this week. Whereas the ones that say these are the top 10 projects, and then you insert the context, or however that looks at that point, like top 10 projects to 100x or top 10 projects that are going to blow up, kind of a thing. Those types of articles, generally speaking, from what I understand, have more of a read through, more of a click through rate, just because people are interested in seeing what that article highlights as those top 10 projects. But we are going to be testing the waters this week with in Meme Combat specific publication in reference to the banner ads. The way that those work is the company that handles those. There's thousands and thousands of websites, and it's all based off of user profiles, like what types of searches or what type of content that you look at. That you'll then begin to see like the MK banner ads. So there's algorithms that work, at play there, but yeah, there's thousands of different websites that the banner ad circulates through. It's not a dedicated hung ad. It circulates, so kind of almost like you see like with like ETH scan, BSE scan kind of a thing, where you
Yes.
look at the website and there's a banner, and then if you refresh, there's a different banner kind of a thing.
I
So
know
it's
that.
not,
Yep.
yeah. So, but like I had mentioned before in previous AMAs, that we're not trying to do like the shotgun approach where we're blasting everything in a short window of time. We're definitely just kind of just rolling it out and rolling it out slowly. And that's intentional, especially right now. Again, like I had said earlier on this call, the market is down. There's no volume on ETH mainnet. And since we started this call, the volume has dropped even more. So it would be like shouting into an empty tunnel or an empty crowd, but we are going to be looking at the metrics and looking to seize upon areas and opportunities for conversion as they come up. But I mean, as you guys are all aware, there's really not a whole lot happening specifically on the Ethereum mainnet, which is where MK tokens do their trading activity. So.
Okay, friend. But so the basic question to a direct answer is, so some banners, they are live already, and there is this article which is live too, right?
I'm sorry. I was trying to multitask and read a comment.
No problem, no problem.
You
No, no
said,
problem. No. The question was just to confirm. So there are already some banners live, right? Yes.
yeah.
And there is this article and maybe another article. Do you know if there's any other article live?
That we will have an MK independent article live this week. My assumption would probably be like no later than Thursday, but it's possible Friday at some point. It's just basically it's in the queue, it's waiting its turn, kind of a thing.
Okay, and banners are live.
Banners are live, although it's not so you can really kind of determine like the level. Like if you wanted it seen everywhere and persistently, you could pay for that. Right now it's, kind of like it more in a limited capacity, just kind of testing the waters,
No,
and
of course, I get that.
yeah, and we've covered that before. Like, right. So like if there's one particular publication or outlet that is seeing a higher conversion rate than others, then we will ramp up advertisement in that particular area. We're essentially
Right.
just kind of like looking around, seeing where the volume for MK could come from. So, and the reason why I make that kind of more specific to our project, because certain project types, like for instance, like the kind of project that MK is, some projects have more success in markets like this than others. Like for instance, like casinos, crypto casinos. Generally speaking, like when the market is down, people still go in there and they gamble because they're super degenerates, and that's the way, just the way that those
Yeah.
platforms operate. And they will market heavy even in this down market because advertising costs are cheaper, and there's less competition, and then they see a
Yes.
higher ROI. Projects like MK, you struggle to get people in the door when the market's down, but as soon as the market starts to pick back up, all of a sudden,
Yeah.
there's more eyes on, people get more excited, people flood back into the market. Yeah, so we are paying attention to the data, and we intend on seizing on opportunities to get new eyes, more eyes on the project. But it has to make sense. So
That's okay. That's good. That's all. That's all, folks. Thank you so much. Have a great week. Okay.
yeah, Alain, thank
Thank
you.
you, Alain.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Hope we haven't cut it too soon. Okay, there is still someone else, but let's just have one question in the middle, so it's not always someone talking. Matt, are you looking for extra depths? The rate of improvement and upgrade is really too slow to keep everyone's interested. Right now, sorry, this was my pause was just to try and understand the second part of the sentence. Right now, people only see the staking. Is it possible to increase this so people will get other interests in the project? I kind of rephrase the sentence there. I do apologize for the original poster, but I think the general gist of your question is there.
Is the question
So the question
increasing
is, are we planning on expanding the team to increase the speed that things are released for the upgrades, for example?
I mean, I feel like we already have a pretty robust team as it is. Now, with that being said, the last conversation that we had on AMA still applies in terms of getting all the components for season 2 released, and then as a team coming together and finalizing the layout for what we intend to be season 2.5 or season 3, and then look to make commitments there. So it could go either way. I mean, if we determine that we have a very ambitious season 3 layout, which we very well could with the concepts that we've all deemed doable and also applicable to the platform's future, we could then look to onboard. I'm not looking to just onboard developers without a need or plan. So if we do onboard developers, I wouldn't like them to just sit around and not have anything to do, or to be asking them to do things that are outside of their scope or their area of expertise, which is very niche in a lot of respects. If any of you spend time in the development arena, there's generally speaking, there's very niche sets of skills. Coding languages aside, front end, back end development, game development, all of these things are very niche set of skills. Animations, illustrators, things of that nature. Like, so we have to be very specific, very well thought out in terms of what it is that we're going to be asking people to build and asking them to do. And then, if we identify a deficiency or an area where we don't have that set of skills in-house, my preference would be to onboard a developer to meet that need versus, yeah, trying to figure it out some other way. So.
Okay, so there's one here that I was actually laughing up because I had the microphone off, so I'm allowed to do that. Which is, why no devs in the AMA? I can answer this one. So as someone exactly, Evan's also laughing because he knows the answer to this. So as someone that has worked in tech, mainly in gaming tech, I can tell you devs are like the shyest creatures in the universe. It's really hard to get them anywhere semi-public. Like, they're reading your comments. I literally have messages of them pinging me before I even comment with them some of the feedback you guys give me. So they clearly are checking the chats, but they are very quiet. And when we kind of forced any dev, this is in the past with other projects, into any public scenario, they just panicked. It was really funny. I think Matt has mentioned this in the past as well. It's really complicated to get anyone that's not used to do public speaking, which is the case of most developers, to do anything. Not all developers are like good old Tor from Twitch. He's the exception. Every other are very shy creatures. I don't know if you want to add anything to this, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, well, and to be just completely honest, I mean, that's really my main role in my purpose for being with respect to this project, is to protect and shield the inner core team from the, I mean, not from you guys, but from the, kind of like the noise of, having to, communicate directly with people. There's really two reasons for that. Number one, it can be time consuming, especially at the very early days of the project, when time was really of the essence. I spent an inordinate amount of time just communicating with people from the community and making sure that your guys' voices were heard, and trying to communicate the the need for this or the need for that. But then also their anonymity helps protect the integrity of the platform in general. So there are, believe it or not, this might, come as a surprise to some of you guys, but there are some bad actors out there that have spent a pretty excessive amount of time trying to find out just who the developers are, not for the purpose of shaking their digital hands or giving them some affirmations of a job well done, but to try to extort them and try to, essentially compromise the security of the project. And so it's both kind of of an interpersonal reason why the devs are not, at your access, but it's also for the security of our platform and the protocols that we use. And so for that purpose alone, the devs, will not be directly accessible by the MK public, and for that I apologize, but at the same time I'm doing it for everyone's well-being. But what I can say is that they very much do exist within the community, and they read your comments, both good and bad, and like any other normal person, they have positive and negative reactions to some of the things that are said. We're all human at the end of the day. At least I hope we are. I'm sure there's probably some bots in here, but for the most part, we're all human. And so to that end, they have good days and bad days, just like the rest of us. Yeah.
Yeah, social engineering is a bad thing, people, and that's one of the reasons I don't reveal much about myself as well, to try and avoid. Right now I have access to way too many things not to be a security risk. So even on my side, I think every account that I have has protection to the maximum, and even so I handle that. Anyway, it is that time of the AMA, which is Time Bandit time. There he is. Funny
Can you hear
story.
me
This
this
is
time?
this. We can hear you fine. This is the second speaker today that actually got timed out this week. Our speakers have been misbehaving, because both Alain and Time Bandit got timed out this week already. How are you doing, sir?
Well, I apologize for all the tender people I might have offended, but
It's fine. It happens to the best of us.
I think the devs might want to avoid Brazil Was Alan? Man, he's a firecracker. I love it.
No. Alain now belongs to North Korea, according to him, because every time he speaks with me, I've become Kim Jong now. So
Oh man, well, how you doing?
We're doing pretty good. Doing pretty good.
It's
Just
hot here. I'm trying not to melt, so we can just keep this thing going as long as we can because I'm in the AC right now. It's 110 degrees here. That's 43 Celsius for all y'all. Yeah.
hey, look at the consideration there that he's giving out the Celsius for you guys.
Yeah. See, I even had to look it up. But no, I had some questions about and a little comment about the iOS issue. Now,
Mhm.
my son has an iPhone 14 Pro, so it's fairly new, and he definitely knows how to use it. And we got on, and we could not get any WebGL to load on his phone. It's always the same thing we get with Meme Kombat. So I think it's probably an Apple issue, not an MK issue. Is that correct?
I mean, so the team is currently working on addressing those issues right now. I mean, obviously, it's pretty obvious to people that have checked, and we've discussed it, I believe, in the chat, and it's come up quite a few times that currently right now the data pull for Meme Combat on the front end side of things is pretty high. It's pretty excessive. We're working on creative ways to reduce that packet, that load on the front end, so that users can have a little bit more of a seamless experience. But depending on the strength of your service, so like if you're in the States and you're utilizing 5G, or if you're in Europe and you're using a different type of service or a different level of service, you might see or feel or experience a different user experience. So what we're looking at doing is offloading that front end, that data load to a different service without obviously compromising the safety and security of the platform altogether. So those are some of the kind of like the non-visual improvements that we're looking at making, along with some mobile optimizations.
Well, will that be able to be implemented with the site up and running?
I'm sorry, what was that? You cut out a little bit.
Will that be okay when you figure it out for the iOS iPhones? Will that be able to be implemented with the site up and running, or will it have to come down and repair it that way?
No,
I know
nothing
there's
will have to nothing will have to come down. Everything that we do from this point forward will be thoroughly tested in an environment that's not what you guys use currently, and then once it's pushed live to production, it'll be an instantaneous thing where it's just you basically refresh your screen and everything's changed.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
So probably might stop for like one battle, so for 5 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, it wouldn't even
More
really be
service
noticed.
reset. Yeah, you wouldn't, it'll be one of those typical when you guys ping me and saying, "Oh, they really stopped. Oh, never mind." Then I don't even have time to check what it was.
Yeah, our developers spend a decent amount of time setting up now this testing environment where thorough internal testing and vetting of any changes can be done without impacting player experience, player performance of the platform. So,
but it's yeah, well, it works good on all my devices. I've got Android and on all my computers, so
yeah,
and it works seamlessly. And man, 12 million is a lot. It's been busy and hadn't missed a lick. That's good. That's
yeah.
good.
I mean that right there is so even in a down market or when there's very little volume, clearly we still have a lot of people playing MK, and I believe it's to be mostly just like a lot of our diehard supporters, and I think it's worth noting that that 12 million, probably that number would have been significantly higher if we didn't have max bet protocol in place.
Yeah, and I think the max bet might be a good thing.
Yeah.
A very good thing. And also, what was I going to say? The oh, when you said the max bid, I lost my train of thought. But
Oh, okay.
it's
I'm writing that
it's
down.
really it's really smooth. I've enjoyed it, and I think also, like you said, in the down market, I think we should do some marketing on it because we'll get some more diehard people. Because anybody who plays it's going to get hooked. It's really a fun game. So, congratulations on it. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, I think that the congratulations should be but also the community, you guys especially that have been here day after day, week after week, supporting the project, even if you have, a temporary meltdown here and there. It's perfectly normal. I support that. We can all have a fracture moment as long as we can circle back around and come back to our senses. I think that we're okay to give each other a little bit of room to melt down every once in a while.
That's why we have grass
Yeah,
time.
well,
Even I occasionally go out to touch the grass myself. Not to swear, mainly not to swear at you guys.
it was very peaceful.
Exactly, the
Very
grass
peaceful
cures everything.
I know. Well, I woke up and it was already implemented. I'm like, oh, okay. It happened when I was asleep. That might say something about me.
Since we're talking about the max bet, there's a couple of you guys asking in the chat, and I saw it on the VC questions as well, asking when are we planning on lifting the max bet. As far as I'm aware, Matt can correct me. At the moment, we are still keeping the max bet as it is, the 10K. To be honest, because I got access to some info during this weekend, because we're keeping an eye out for exploits, even though we do have automatic mechanisms to trigger alarms if anything goes weird. But we decided to go and check it manually, so we could actually see if there was anyone that had, too many wins would trigger something there. And I did notice some people were going down very quickly, so I'm glad that there was a max bet for those cases. Because I don't want to think how much they might have lost if there wasn't a max bet value.
Yeah,
so the max bet might actually be a good thing for some of you.
Yeah, that's a really fair point, Hermes, and I think that's worth highlighting is that the max bet feature isn't all just to limit the amount that somebody can win potentially, but it's also there as a safety precaution to limit the amount that somebody can lose. Like maybe like a fat finger slip of the finger or something where somebody could accidentally wager their entire balance, and then lose. Like that would be devastating. That would really suck. So I mean, we'll look to revisit that as well as almost every feature to some degree in the future as it makes sense. But right now, we have no intention of removing the max bet limiter, for safety reasons. So
I think that's a very good idea. All right, guys, that's all I got.
Okie dokie, so thank you very much for your time. Once again, wonderful time, bandit time. And speak to you next week, and speak to you in the chat as well.
great.
Huh. He's so polite. Even he leaves the stage. I don't even need to do anything. Okay, going back to the written questions. There is a question about buybacks. I still remember that after we reached the 10 million milestone in pre-sale, Matt decided to continue the pre-sale all the way until launch. He promised us that he was going to use this additional money for buybacks after the launch in order to stabilize the price. After the launch, he explained that he won't buy back any coins right after launch. Will this promise still be fulfilled? I think that's what the question is. I think you already answered this like 2 AMAs back, but always
I
good
feel,
to
I feel
remind.
like we've covered it in several AMAs. Buybacks have occurred, and they occur, when it makes sense. Especially like if there's like a purpose. There's oftentimes when we're working with separate parties and they want like additional tokens as part of that working relationship, or if we are like we are currently looking at engaging with a number of different partnerships. I don't know if you've spoken to any of those Hermes or if it's too early days on those. But those relationships as well would require handing over a certain portion of tokens. We wouldn't be looking at any of our current assets to do that. Those would be the result of a market buy of tokens that would be then used to negotiate that relationship. So buybacks that are strategic for both listings as well as partnerships. It happens in scenarios like that. We don't vocally mention buybacks, and we haven't been very open with sharing that information, and that's been very strategic because, again, I know the reason why people are wanting and feeling like they need buybacks because they want to see an increase in the price. Generally speaking, the reason why they want to see an increase in price because they want to sell their tokens, which brings the price back down. We, as a team, do purchase MK token, especially if we're testing in a platform where we want to use actual real live MK token on the platform to test certain things. But we just don't necessarily share when that occurs because we're not trying to have a mad rush of people going to liquidate tokens and creating a downward pressure. Just so, I mean, as difficult as that sounds, to take in, most of the time when we attempt to be very transparent and very open about certain things, specifically like that, there is a large amount of people that are either in this project or associated with a project that essentially use it as fuel against us or use it in a negative way against the project. So hopefully I've answered that question again, maybe in a different way than I have the last few times.
We'll start merging them all together, create a mega answer. Although one way of answering this might have been what one question I've already seen twice at least here, which is when will the website and white paper be updated? We keep hearing that everything's ready for weeks. That's your baby, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, so I was out all of last week. That's just one of the items that I haven't caught up on. In terms of like the website being updated, I think that's in reference to the roadmap, which I kind of hit on a little bit earlier in this call. The white paper, that's just on me. We haven't we had set out to get that updated many weeks back, and for one reason or another, mostly just because of this season 2 stuff, that it took a little bit longer to get season 2 live. It just kind of fell on the back of the plate. So we'll definitely prioritize obviously getting that up to date. But if it's within respect to the roadmap, my answer from many weeks back and briefly in the beginning of this call is still very much the case, in that we as a team need to first really solidify what we're looking to deliver for season 3 or what comes next before we start shotgunning out promises that you guys will hold us to.
There is a question about the mobile devices, mainly about us doing an app for MK. So lots of talks about streaming. Also, there was also a rumor about an app to be made. Can you tell us a bit more? I think we're still at the same stage as when I mentioned last week, which is this is still at the idea stage because we're trying to first stabilize everything. Not sure if Matt has any update on this, but I don't think anything has changed since last week.
No, your response from last week still very much applies.
Yeah, exactly. Because right now the main focus is precisely getting it to work on the mobiles without going by the app, especially with iPhones. Trust me, the process to get anything approved on the Apple Store takes ages, even if it's just for the beta test stage. It's quicker for us to fix the website first and then start thinking about the apps. If needed. I mean, we could reach the point that we reach the conclusion that it's not worth spending the time and the effort on doing the apps if it works fine on the browser. Now, there's a couple of questions more specific to the project. Okay, so could you talk a bit about your idea regarding future plans for play to earn in MK and if the NFTs will be a part of that? very specific one.
Future plans is around NFT integration. Is that the question?
NFT integration and play to earn.
Right. So with respect to the NFT integration, future state of Meme Kombat season, I think what we've kind of loosely dubbed season 2.5, with a yet to be determined release date, we'll see your ability to connect your wallet that has your MK tokens that you're wagering, the tokens that you have in our ecosystem. You will also be able to, obviously, if you have your NFT in that wallet, have the option to essentially leverage that as your character in the battle arena. That will allow you to have kind of more customizable attack vectors and defense vectors, depending on the attributes of that NFT. So we haven't released any information on that yet, mostly because we don't want to provide too much anxiety or lead up. We would like everybody to have kind of the same level access to how that's to be utilized, because there will be some gamification that comes with using NFTs in the game. With respect to the play to earn, I'm just not ready to talk about that quite yet, or the other anticipated battle modes for MK. Again, because I haven't had that critical conversation with the team yet, and I am hesitant to make any sort of commitments now that the team would then subsequently have to deliver on without speaking to them first. I don't want to get anybody frustrated.
Fair enough. There's two questions I was going to say we're reaching the end of it. There's one more question for you. There's two questions I can answer, so I'll give you 2 minutes of rest. Which is, first question is actually from Alain's idea last week about adding the information on where we set up the loading, saying that currently the game doesn't work on iPhone, blah blah blah. It's still on the table. We should be cool with that. I already passed it on to the devs. We'll see what happens, whether if they can fix it before or if they decide, okay, let's have the message and see what's going on. But it shouldn't be too tricky to add there. The other question that someone has here is, I lost the question, there we are. If the devs are considering making 2 separate versions of MK, mobile and desktop, or they're going to get all mobiles to run the desktop version. I think this is the same thing that I mentioned last week, which is we are trying to avoid as much as we can to get the website to check what machine you have, simply because most browsers will consider this a tracker and we might actually block the website because of that. Every time anything gets blocked, the trust rate goes down, blah, 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 and this creates a cascade effect, and we'd rather not have the website being flagged for just us checking if you have a mobile or not. So right now, what we're trying to do is one version to run in any system. If we reach the conclusion that this isn't possible, that we have to separate them, then we'll go down that route. But right now, it is one version for everyone. Now, the last question, which is for Matt, and after this, I think poor Matt has earned the right of restoring his voice, is about if MK will be running 2 versions of the game in the future. So basically, the season 1 and season 2. This was asked last week as well. Because in the past, you mentioned in the previous AMA that there was an idea of having season 2 running, so the one we have right now, with more graphical, and at the same time having season 1 running separately as a second game, so as a text thing. Is this still the case, or have we decided to shift away from this?
I mean, so without making any sort of like actual commitment to the way that it'll look, the way that I have envisioned it, and I think that this vision is shared amongst my peers, is that what you will see in a future state is almost like a lobby where you come in and then you can select, which direction that you want to go. I mean, and this would be simple enough to do from a design and a front end perspective. It's the wild card is from a back end perspective, and providing the same level of support to those services, or duplicating those services. I'm not 100% on what the technicals there would look like. So I'm not really ready to confirm exactly what the look and the feel of that would be, but I'm envisioning something in that from the main website, you can click on the arena lobby, and then from there you'd be able to select what type of battle mode that you would like to participate in. So, but we will have more information on that in the future as we get closer.
Okay, cool. And past Hermes apparently left a note for myself, which there was a question last week about changing the staking pool. Because you mentioned at one point there was plans for changing the staking pool. How are those going? Is there any progress on that, or are we still the same as we are last time you mentioned it? I know I got confused as well when they asked me this because I can't remember you mentioning this. I remember you mentioning. I remember you mentioning that the arena pool, so the betting pool, there was going to be a change. But someone last week mentioned that we also mentioned some changes to the staking pool, which, to be honest, I honestly don't remember you mentioning it. But like I said last week, I'm old, so I might forget things.
Yeah, the time to rework the staking pool is drawing pretty near, and we will have an official announcement on that once I've received that from the development team. But yeah, we know that the staking pool, which was originally set up for 1 year, is getting close, which is kind of crazy to think that it's already been almost a year. So we'll have more information on that as we draw closer.
Oh, we actually have someone here that wants to do a question.
I have maybe like 30 seconds, and then I got to jump, Hermes.
Okay, let's be a quick question then. Vereen. Maybe the accident clicked. Because they don't want to seem to want coming on stage. Okay, in that case, we shall sorry about math. Wish you a good recovery of a voice. Luckily, most of the chats I have with him are via text, so he doesn't get to exert his voice too much. Have a lovely week, everyone. As usual, like I said, no raffles this week. I did forget something, which is we have currently another competition going on Twitter, which is for you guys to create some videos. Someone yesterday asked me for some resources, so I'll be dropping those right after this meeting because I just got them now about the attack animations. So if you want to use those for your video creations, you are free to use them as well. And I'm very curious to see what you do. Once again, thank you very much, Matt. Thank you very much for everyone that was here, and have a nice week. Bye.
Bye, everyone.